Please, Justin, for introducing us. So this is Shane Cole from Datum. This is Val from Policy Pal Network. So there's actually two products here, Policy Pal and Policy Pal Network. So can you briefly explain what you do and how you actually make use of decentralized data?
Hi, good evening everyone. Thanks for staying with us. I know it's the last session of the whole conference. So Policy Pal started 2.5 years ago as an insurance policy management platform to help individuals out there to understand and organize all the existing insurance policies in one place. And then over time, as our user base grow, people wanted to buy insurance policy. To do that, we have to get our insurance broker license. So we enter Singapore regulator MAS FinTech Sandbox. We're the first to go in and also first to graduate. So we graduated last year, and thereafter we understand the opportunity and challenges in the space as an intermediary, understanding how insurers deal with product creation and also the consumer's needs. So early this year we launched Policy Pal Network, which is our decentralized insurance protocol to help individuals out there to actually create new form of products by sharing the data and also product creation. On top of that, we actually onboarded our insurance partners that today in Singapore we work with 16 of them. 2 of them actually moved on to the blockchain side already. So we launched a product with Ergo, it's a German insurance company, on a flight delay insurance policy. That was launched about 2 months back. So as a customer, you can buy travel insurance policy, and if let's say there's any flight that's delayed for more than 6 hours, the payout it goes directly into your bank account, so you don't have to deal with the paperwork anymore.
Okay, cool. How about you, Shane?
So I'm from Datum. Really simply, we're a blockchain-based data storage company. You can think of us as a decentralized alternative to AWS. Okay. So if you're building, for example, CryptoKitties, right, and you need somewhere to store user email addresses, you would use us for that purpose.
Okay, that's really great. But okay, that is a very good, as in how you use decentralized to actually manage the data. But is it really possible, as in the data size is growing? How did Datum actually manage this, as in so many information to store in the blockchain?
Sure, so it's important to know we don't actually store data on a blockchain. Okay. And there are a few reasons for this. One, blockchains are incredibly slow. There are a couple projects like Storage or Filecoin, which are trying to do things like Dropbox. But what we do is actually more like the back end of a mobile app, right? And for that, just like the last 2 ad tech panels, you need something that's quite quick. So we actually don't store the data on the blockchain. We store the data off-chain, and we consolidate the hashes of the data and the transactions back to the blockchain. So you have the transparency of the blockchain, so you know what happens to a given piece of data at any time, right? If you sell the data, or if you access the data, or if you grant access to someone else. Okay. But to actually get the data, you go off-chain, so it's quite quick.
Okay, so can I say that in such a way that you actually incentivize them to just process the data, but you store it somewhere else?
Incentivize who?
As in the miners or the...
So the incentive for someone who's running, we call it a storage node, is actually to store data in a reliable way.
Okay, cool. How about you, Val? How do you make use of this blockchain for your Policy Pal?
Good question. So I remember when I first started asking the insurers whether they wanted to come on board, when we built on our Ethereum testnet, a lot of them were very worried if it's a public blockchain. So they wanted it to be a private blockchain. How do we do so is basically we put insurance policy onto the smart contract. We put a business logic, pre-programmed conditions set out there. So if let's say you were to meet the automated underwriting criteria, your policy will be incepted instantly, as compared to how things are being still done today by the manual distribution, is that you need to meet an agent, answer a couple questions, and then they bring it back to their insurance department, underwriting department, to go through the whole underwriting process before the policy can be incepted. So on our blockchain, where our testnet protocol will be launched next month, it will be a 2-layer protocol. So this way, we actually put the private information on our private layer. Private information including how much you are covered for, who actually purchased the policy, while the public layer will be open up to the community where they can suggest new form of insurance products. They can launch a peer-to-peer pool. So they can actually, like say, all of you here, 100 of you who want to buy buy a policy because maybe you're afraid that later on you go for a bar drink, you get stuck in a traffic jam, and you want to be covered for XYZ reason. So that will be placed on the on the dashboard for our partners, the insurance partners, to do the underwriting. So we're basically rebuilding the whole insurance ecosystem. It's a challenge, I have to say, because it's a very big industry, 4.4 trillion spent every single year, and also all the insurers are really big. So we come on an approach where we collaborate together with them, where they can come on board to use our templates, the smart contract templates, to put the insurance policy over there so that we can optimize the whole process and also reduce the fraudulent claims issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you like walk us through like who actually holds like some sort of like private key, who can update it? Anyone can do their own policy and insure people, or only a certain people? How do you manage the private keys?
Oh, good question. So I mentioned about the two-layer protocol. So we have super nodes and master nodes. Just last month, we launched our blue paper to describe about what are the key differences between these two. Super nodes are run by our community, so it's it's going to be a very lightweight DAG software where they can download and just power the network. And how super nodes are chosen is randomized. However, on the private side, we have our master nodes. So only master node owners can do the underwriting of the insurance policies, because after all, it is a skill set that you need to understand how do you do the risk management and how do you actually underwrite the policies. And information will be kept on the private layer. So it's actually a half-half like situation. It's not everything private and not everything public. Yeah.
Okay, Jatum, how do you actually do, because I from the white paper itself, you are like saying that you are allowing people to sell their own personal informations, but how do you like facilitate this whole thing? Like briefly explain.
Sure, so we've developed a data trading protocol essentially. When a piece of data is put onto the network, it's actually encrypted with the user's private key before it goes anywhere. We have some middleware that sort of sits there and allows users to grant access to other keys for that data, right? And each of those transactions, we track them. The transaction itself, I've added a key to access this data, is itself put on our blockchain. So you have complete transparency there. The data trading protocol exists, say you're developing Spotify, and you're using our storage network. And you say, hey, I have all these user playlists. I'd like to sell the listen data, right? So you can send a sales request into our platform. We list it. Then you say, hey, this is the type of data I have. This is what I like to sell. And this is the offer I'm giving back to my users if they'd like to sell that data. We then go back. We collect their consent. We say, hey, Spotify would like to sell your playlist data. In exchange for you agreeing to do so, they'll pay you something, or they'll give you a free month of service, or whatever it is, right? And then our middleware layer will sit there and say, okay, this person's consented. We track the consent. We add the sales key for access to the data, and then we take the transaction through.
Okay, can I understand in such a way that is like some sort of like an API kind of control, or how do you get the consensus like or consent from the data owner?
So from a developer's perspective, it's entirely API driven. We have an SDK that you drop into your app, and you say, I'd like to sell this data. We then have if you've used something like Uport or Status IM, if you've used a decentralized app on one of those platforms, it kicks you back to the app to actually say, yes, this DApp is allowed to use this. Same kind of idea.
Okay.
I'm very curious, how do you price the data?
So the data sale?
Yeah.
It's up to the developer. We only provide the platform to actually sell the data, track the consent, and then make sure the data is used the way it's supposed to be.
I see. So one of our key features, sorry to jump in, one of our key features is that the supernodes are able to share the data that they have. So potentially there's some collaboration in exchange for much more affordable insurance premiums, because you know that insurance companies are in need to actually look into the data of their policyholders.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like blockchain is actually beyond cryptocurrencies. We are here to actually discuss about it. So actually, what do you think? Because blockchain itself is called as a very slow and expensive database. What do you see about this?
Yeah, so there's still such issues. I think on the stage, CryptoKitties have been mentioned so many times for this past 2 days. So for us, the two-layer protocol helped to solve that issue because the private layer has limited number of masternodes. We only have 21. So this helped to solve the scalability and the cost issue because especially if, let's say, it's open up to everyone and suddenly everyone decided that, oh, they actually know that earthquake is coming or something. They want to all buy the policy and it gets jammed up in the network. And by the time the policy is accepted, things happen and then they're not protected. So we have actually thought of all these things. And other than that, also travel insurance. A lot of people, because of running the other company, Policy House Singapore, we know a lot of people actually use our mobile app to buy the policy when they're on the way to the airport because we know that they buy it on the day that they're departing. So what happens if, let's say, it's on a public blockchain and it gets jammed up? So there's a problem of slow transaction and also costly. So by building our two-layer protocol, help to solve that issue. Of course, by the time our testnet is launched, we do invite our supernode runners and also our community to be able to give us the feedback, and then we would like to iterate accordingly to our mainnet is launched end of Q4.
So she's exactly right. At this moment and for the foreseeable future, right, to get any kind of speed out of a blockchain-based database, you have to build the actual database components on another layer. Yep. Right. So the fastest production database we have, or the fastest production blockchain we have now, is essentially Ethereum, which is 15 transactions per second-ish, right? Yeah. Ripple, like we said in the ad tech panel, Ripple gets up to 1,500-ish, and there are some that claim, Hashgraph claims 10,000 or something per second, right? But it's not anywhere near stable. And so in order to get any kind of speed or even storage size, you have to go off-chain.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like proof of work, where you have to wait for the confirmations, then this is going to be really long time of waiting. So, okay, there's a lot of people like saying that we can do like AI or somehow scan through the data. So what do you think about this? As in, since you have open data out of it, like for others to actually look at the blockchain, like anyone can access it and they want to do like some sort of analysis. That means like anyone can know who purchased anything at particular time, as in insurance policy at a particular time. So this can help people to understand more about the insurance ecosystem or the price. But how do you see open data moving forward?
So at the moment, we don't actually allow everyone out there to see the policy incepted because people are still a bit concerned in terms like, oh, how many policies being sold and then how much coverage and then who actually purchased, who joined a pool, and this might potentially incur some moral hazard. So, so the policy incepted and the actual details will still be placed on a private layer, but the timestamp that we discussed off the stage just now, it will still be publicly available, so people are able to tell how many policy, but then not the type of policies being purchased, how much coverage, who actually purchased them. So that can be solved maybe down the road when we figure out more, but at the current moment, we're very worried about moral hazard, especially if like someone knows that this person is covered X amount and the beneficiary is someone that they know, it can cause some potential issue.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Again, there are different contexts of open data, right? There are some things that you don't mind, especially if they're not tied to anything personal, right? So if you see my random Ethereum wallet and you know that I hold X amount of Ethereum, it's totally fine for me that you know I hold X amount of Ethereum because you don't know who I actually am. Yeah. Right? And so as long as you keep the differing contexts of which data is important to a person, then I think there's no limit to what you can do with open data. It's like the Supreme Court ruling, right? I don't know what it is, but I know when I see it.
Okay. I think that's actually, we have to really like just summarize this whole thing, that actually storing data on blockchain itself is possible, and you can actually store the information that is very important and really incentivize the network using your coins or anything, and it's actually beyond cryptocurrencies. And actually that's the time that we have to discuss, as in these panel sessions, and we have to end. And thank you very much for all of you. Thank you, Val, for being here, and thank you, Shane, for being here. Thank you very much.